When you go through life and you consistently invest, when the stock market's high, you buy less shares. And when the stock market's low, you buy more shares. So you automatically lower your average cost by being consistently there. And you're not making an emotional choice. You're not thinking, when should I? You just are doing it.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. At Tap the Potential, we know that you want to be freed from the constant demands of your business. In order to do that, you need a business that supports your life. The problem is you have a cash-sucking business taking over your life, leaving you frustrated and discouraged. We believe work supports life, not the other way around. We understand you're paying a team and you're still having to do it all. There should be accountability. It shouldn't be this hard, which is why through our proprietary coaching system, we help thousands of business owners just like you have more time for what's important to them and grow profit by 300 to 800%. Here's how we do it. First, take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Next, meet with our success team lead to debrief your results. Then, join our Better Business, Better Life program. By the end of your first year with us, you will have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had before. So take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment so you can stop working so hard for so little return. Take your life back. Profit Designers, today I'm bringing you a conversation I had with Linda Stapf. Linda is a Breakthroughs on the Bayou Retreat alumni. She's been to the Breakthroughs on the Bayou 4-week vacation retreat several times, and she got very inspired by the activity that we did with Sir Steven Wilkinson for our VIP day, as we played Gator Tank, and she observed different business owners getting very excited all of a sudden about the possibility of selling their business. Right now, Linda has set aside tax returns to get curious about business owners that are putting off retirement. She is surveying business owners to get some answers and sharing the story of the extra $1 million. As we join this conversation with Linda, I just want to prepare you. This one is going to get your wheels turning, and I anticipate by the end of this interview, you are going to have some much bigger ideas for yourself about your future. So with that, let's join the conversation with Linda. Profit Designers, at Tap the Potential, we are on a mission right now to be a positive force in social media during trying times for all of us entrepreneurs. In that regard, I would love it if you could help us out. We really want to get behind any of you who are doing good things in your communities, showing up and leading with love. If you are doing something to keep your team together during this time and you're sharing it in social media, or you come across another entrepreneur who is being a gift from their gift in some way that you notice, please use the hashtags Lead with Love and Be a Gift. Our team at Tap the Potential is on the lookout in social media for those hashtags, and we will be reposting those social media posts from the Tap the Potential social media. Let's all lead with love, be a gift, and shine bright during these trying times. Well, Linda, I am so excited to welcome you to the Profit by Design podcast.
I am glad to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes. So you and I have been digging, and you are studying, you're pumpkin planning your business, and you have been studying your top clients. And we had some initial hypotheses about things that would show up and that would be of interest to your top clients, who are, by the way, profit designers. Linda's top clients, small business owners. So I think what we're going to dive into today is going to be highly relevant to you. But as you were studying your top clients, you noticed some surprising trends that you're curious about, and I'm curious to hear more about.
Yeah, as I was going through it, I started looking at these individual clients, and I was doing basically a rough case study. I went 3 or 4 of the clients I love working with and tracked what we've done with them over the years, the tax savings, the things we've put in place and where they've gotten to. And I know that each one of these business owners is looking to stop working and do something else. Some of them have been actively trying to sell the business, and it's really not a business that can sell, but just looking at where they were, I'm looking at the assets they've been able to accumulate because of some of the things we've been doing, the tax savings that they've gotten because of some of the things we've done with them. And I'm hearing conversations about wanting to be done in 5 years. That popped up over and over again with several of them. And it seems that target keeps moving out. It's like the 5 years just resets.
Every year, the 5 years reset.
Yes, it's like they just can't see the end. So I'm trying to figure out partly what's holding them in the business. And I've got some ideas about what that might be. I'm a business owner too. My identity is very tied up in who I am.
Yes.
And what I do every day. So I'm thinking that's part of it.
I get asked a lot, especially in the context of the 4-week vacation, because once you've set your business up where you can take a 4-week vacation on an ongoing basis, pretty much you don't have to be there working in the business. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, well, what do you want to do if you're not running your business, Sabrina? That question, the first time it was posed to me, made me very uncomfortable. And I'm appreciative every time someone asks me, because I've gotten very cavalier about it now. And I'll just say, I really have no idea. And I welcome the opportunity to figure it out.
I think that's part of the journey. The conversations that we've had in the groups and just talking to business owners who are looking at leaving. The game that Sir Steven played at the retreat, where 3 or 4 business owners got to sell their business, you could see the wheels turning as they kind of started to think about what they would do after they left that business.
So let's give a little context there for our profit designers. So we were all together at the Breakthroughs on the Bayou 4-week vacation retreat, March 2020. Just a couple months ago, and we had Sir Steven Wilkinson, who was our VIP speaker. He's been a guest here on the podcast. His course is Entrepreneur as Investor. So he really, and his background is in small and medium-sized businesses and really rehabilitating them and turning them, taking a business that really is struggling and floundering, and they buy the business, rehabilitate it, turn it into a profitable venture. So he played a game with us called Gator Tank. It was a riff on Shark Tank. And we business owners several of the retreat participants got to volunteer to put their business up for sale for pretend, but we played it like it was real. And they presented their business for sale to the rest of us in the room who were investors. And so, Linda, with that context, talk about what you observed happening as these business owners were putting their businesses up for sale.
I was watching them realize that they had a good thing going. So the ones with systems and things in place and were stepping out of their business on a regular basis were actually closer to being able to leave the business and go ahead and do something else. And they were more open to it. I watched others who hadn't gotten the system set up yet start to realize the power and benefit of being out of your business and letting it run without you. And it was a phenomenal thing to just watch over the course of a couple hours. Some of those attitudes changed completely. And I think bringing those conversations to my business owners on a regular basis would help them step out of their business. I've instituted the Investor Day that he recommended you do. Take one day out of your month, look at your results, figure out if you would buy your business the way it stood right now. And if you didn't, what would you fix about it? And I've been doing that on a regular basis and making small incremental changes so that focus is moving me in the right direction.
Yeah, so you're doing it in your business.
Yes.
Sounds like you're also bringing this to your clients as well.
I'm looking at ways to do that. I'm not really sure how, but I'm looking at ways to do that. I'm trying to figure out what is the best approach? How could we help them do that? And it's a collaborative thing. And we're finding a lot of success doing things with clients as opposed to doing things for clients. Accountants always get a bad rep because we don't talk to people. But I think if we do things, and as we start to look at what we can actually do for clients, that empowers us to kind of keep moving forward. I've looked at 3 clients, and I know that over the course of 10 years working with those 3 clients, I've saved them $600,000.
$600,000. Oh, my word.
Over the course of 10 years with 3 very willing to work with me clients. And we've been able to push money into retirement accounts. And there's more than 3 million sitting there. So there's an extra million that each one of those business owners have because they worked one-on-one with us and kind of pushed things forward and did what they needed to do to focus on their future. So whether they can sell their business or not is really not going to play into whether they can retire. Whether they can step out of their business is. So there's that,
Interesting. Okay. So if they can step out of the business, they are positioned where they could be done. They could retire.
They could, yes.
Whether or not they sell the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I want to just point out here what Linda is getting at. One of my favorite quotes is small steps taken in a consistent direction lead to big results over time. You have held their hand through a lot of small steps over time, and now they're close. They have an extra million hanging out.
Yeah, crazy. Until I started running numbers, I'm like, wow, that's pretty phenomenal. I don't want to take credit for it. I nudged them. They did it and they made it keep happening. So they were smart and they didn't spend every dollar that came in the business. They just did that.
So that really speaks to having profit first in place in your business, because that creates that habit where we are pulling money out of the business on a regular basis, keeping it out of the operating expenses, setting it aside for profit and owner's pay.
Yep.
I'm so intrigued by this conversation, Linda, because I talk to a lot of small business owners day in and day out. And when we start seeing money accumulate in their retirement account, or not in their retirement account, in their owner's pay account, they say, I really don't need this money, so I'm going to put it back into operating expenses. And I always stop and say, whoa, wait, let's examine. Do you not need this money? And my favorite example of this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. When I lived in Riverton, Wyoming, Friday evening, I was in Walmart in the liquor aisle and ran into one of my clients. And she pulled me aside and she said, I really need to talk to you. And I said, okay, good. And she said, I have all this money sitting in my owner's pay account and I don't know what to do about it. And I stopped her right there and I said, okay, whoa, wait, it's Friday evening. We're in Walmart in the liquor aisle. We can't have this conversation here. We're going to get jumped in the parking lot. Let's have that conversation Monday on the phone and sort through this. And what's exciting about that is these business owners who have never been contributing regularly to retirement accounts, to other things to set themselves up for a healthy retirement or to take care of other needs like sending kids to college. Now, all of a sudden, that's a possibility, but we're just not used to having that money. So we don't even consider what could we be doing with it. So from your perspective, what are the things that business owners have opportunities to do?
But they have retirement plans they can set up. They can do things like education funds for kids. They can just pull that money out of the business. I have one lady, we max funded her SEP IRA, and the rest of the money she pulled out in a bonus form, and she paid off her house. So her house has been paid off for 3 years. So the debt reduction, when she retires, she doesn't need as much money because her house is paid off. And it's not that she's living frugally. She's not doing anything. She does travel. She does cruises every year. She's got friends she travels with. She does things. She's still working, but she doesn't have to. The minute she decides to walk away, she can walk away. And her business is very small. It's a one-person editing and consulting and kind of teaching business. She has never earned more than $300,000.
Wow.
Gross in her business.
Wow.
And we've paid off her house, and she's got $1 million. Some of it in a retirement plan, some of it in outside investments, because you can't put it all in a retirement plan. You have to allocate some of it because you need to diversify from a tax standpoint as well as from an investment standpoint so that you can pull money from different buckets. So we teach them all those things. And she's done it, and she's been phenomenal with doing it. It's great to watch.
I really want our profit designers to catch this. This is a teeny tiny solopreneur business earning and the highest she ever earned in a year was $300,000.
Right.
So that doesn't mean she took $300,000 for herself because she had operating expenses, she had taxes and other obligations. So her take home out of that business was not $300,000. It was probably significantly lower than that. Because of these consistent actions that you've guided her through, Linda, she now has this extra $1 million.
Yeah, she's sitting pretty. Really nice. And I love to see that. She has nothing to worry about, really.
And so I know we have profit designers listening who have businesses that are that size. And we also have profit designers listening who may be in businesses that are doing several million in revenue or 10 or 15 million in revenue and feeling like, well, I'm just barely getting by. We're barely breaking even. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to those folks?
You need to carve out something for your future. Take care of the 20 years down the road person that you want to be. And just start. You can start small. It doesn't have to be big. Even if all you can do, and you don't want to put a retirement plan into a big business because it ends up costing too much because you're covering employees, do something personal. Mm-hmm. Use some of the money that you're getting out of that business to pay off debt so that you don't have that chasing you down the road. That's huge.
Yeah, definitely paying off debt. And Profit First is a great system. I mean, we have lots of business owners rapidly paying off debt with their quarterly profit distributions and using the debt snowball that Dave Ramsey talks about. Mm-hmm. Would you recommend when they're taking money out of the business and setting it aside for retirement planning, would you recommend that be done on autopilot on a regular basis?
Yep, absolutely. If you can make it regular, I sit down and meet with this one client every year and we do all of the planning, and that's what she's doing for the rest of the year. She knows what to do and it's done. It's automatically kind of working for her. And that's what you need to do. It needs to be part of your regular routine is to plan to do that. I love your survival trap. When I saw that survival trap graphic and how you can just take a small step and you kind of feel like you're moving ahead, but not really because you're not going in the right direction. That actually started to help make some other things really clear, because if you don't have a plan and you don't focus on that plan and use that as a filter through which you live your life, which Profit First does for us with money, but you've got other things that you want to accomplish too. You have to use that filter also to look at everything else that you want to do and focus on those few things that you really can do that will make a huge difference. And time is really the variable. I'd like to squeeze it down, and we've done the done in 5 years kind of routine with individuals. We can do it with businesses. It's way harder unless you've got some kind of basis set up. So you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and that's really what I see our clients in our Better Business, Better Life program. After a year in our program, they have that foundation in their business. They're working towards their 4-week vacations. They really do have those businesses that have the potential to not just be industry leaders, but also have significant value and be sold because they have systems in place. So just know that for yourselves, profit designers. If you are doing those things, putting Profit First in place, you're putting systems in the business around the sweet spot of the business. You have a hiring system, like how to hire the best A-player attraction system in place. All of those things, every one of those systems adds value to the business. Linda is talking about the survival trap image. What I've always lived not always, but in the last 15 years as I've been more mature in my thinking, I have lived from the perspective of identifying where I want to head in life, having that vision of what I want to accomplish. And the survival trap image that Linda is talking about is we look at where we are currently and we want to align our actions in the now that we take on an ongoing basis and line them up to be a direct path towards our vision. And so our vision really becomes that filter of the different choices we make. As Linda's pointing out, if we take a step that is sort of looks like it's sort of on the path, but it's a little bit off, if we follow that out over time, it can take us very far away from our vision. And so these small steps taken over time in a consistent direction become very powerful. I would imagine, Linda, when you start working with your clients, you're asking them a lot about the future that they want to create. And I heard you mention our future selves.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I understand psychologically that keeps people from saving and investing is we are not connected to our future selves. We don't feel that connection. And if we can imagine what we're like in the future, and, I envision myself as my 60-year-old self and how I want to live. And I want that self to be comfortable and happy. And so the actions that I take now, I have an image of my future self. And so I think that's a key piece, is really connecting with what is that future that we're trying to create and the self that we want to be in the future.
Yeah, I would agree. If you can't see that person, you can't see that future, you don't really know how to prepare for it. If you can't see yourself not going to work every day, what do you do with your time? And that's the biggest variable. I have another lady that we talked to for 2 years. She just couldn't pull the trigger and say, I want to retire. She didn't know what that looked like, where she would go, who she would do things with. The friends that she had at home, not at work, were not the friends that would do the things she wanted to do when she retired. So she needed to find people to travel with if that's what she wanted to do. I mean, it's hard going from working and spending all of your time in one environment to trying to figure out how to spend time in the other environment. So you have to test it out. You have to find that space to test it. A 4-week vacation gives you that time.
Yes, I was just about to go there. The tests that we do for the 4-week vacation create that space for us to explore these things that we might want to do. And then we can come back from that 4-week vacation, and whatever discomfort came up from not knowing, we have that opportunity to go right back to the business. And then we can take some more 4-week vacation tests and put ourselves out there again. It's the perfect opportunity to explore that.
It is, you got to take advantage of these little baby steps.
Absolutely. So you said that as you were looking at your client base and you were thinking that your investment clients were business owners that you've been serving ever since 1996, you were surprised to find that less than 20% of that service line was business owners. So
yeah,
among your investment clients, fewer than 20% of them are business owners. So does that mean business owners aren't investing?
It does. Probably has something to do with the fact that the businesses aren't as healthy as they need to be. So over time, in my history, my dad died when I was young, lost a business, and I got into accounting, I think, to help my dad out in all the forms that he is. I'm very connected to real estate trades and construction, excavation, building. So a lot of my clients are those guys, and they don't necessarily look ahead. They don't plan ahead. Profit First was a baby step on my journey to help them. I think as we get them more profitable, we will have them doing more investment and it will work better. But it really did surprise me, because I know that I originally got into investments in the beginning because I was helping that drywall guy or the painter who really was working every day and didn't have the time to go to the bank and do what he needed to do and set up those accounts. So I did it basically to, from a convenience standpoint, make it easier for them to do that business. And I think I haven't pushed it as much as I needed to. I haven't made it an imperative thing. I'm trying to push that and help them get to a better place. I'm trying to figure out how to put it in their words so they'll see it. And I've created a survey to kind of figure out some of those things. I'm trying to do I'm really curious. I think at this point, I've noticed the trends and I really want to turn them around. And not for my sake as much as for getting them going in the right direction. I would like to figure that out.
Yeah. So Linda has a survey and she's working on a book project. So there's a book that's going to come out of this that's going to help small business owners to really have that opportunity to find that extra million in the business or in their lives and set themselves up for a better future and not be in a position where you have to work. And, the done in 5 years, that is such an appealing concept. Boy, if that's dangled in front of me, I'm turning 48 here in a couple months and I'm thinking, okay, 5 years, 53. How cool would that be? I'm still young enough to get out there and do a lot of things with my life.
Mhm.
So this survey is really out of your own curiosity, just understanding for business owners the different choices they're making, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I just want to figure out, why are you making that choice? What's behind it? Is there something that would motivate you to go in a different direction? If you had different information in front of you, would that help? What's holding you back from going ahead and taking care of some of those things? Because that's what it is. You just haven't put the time in to look at them and put them in and make them important.
Yeah.
That every year I fully fund my SEP, because that's for the 58-year-old Joe. And I'm stuck in this business, still working this business, because I haven't done the things to make it more profitable and to be able to do that and push myself ahead. I'm really curious about that. And I would like to figure out a way to help themselves. And the done in 5 years title really just means you can be done in 5 years.
It's a choice.
You don't have to be. There's so much security that comes from knowing that your financial stuff is together and taken care of. That if something happened to you tomorrow, your family would have everything it needed to have that you wanted it to have, and your business would continue without you.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that our clients who are in our Better Business, Better Life program, who are running their business around a really clearly defined sweet spot, who are growing the revenue from their top 20% clients, and because they have Profit First in place, they're keeping more of what they make, have every opportunity to be done in 5 years, because these businesses grow organically. And with Profit First in place, there's a system that guarantees that there's extra money being put towards owner's pay and profit for paying down debt, for investing. So what feels like, as Linda's talking about, that extra million that's hiding out in your life somewhere, and it feels like, I don't know where that is. I can barely make it. I just want to say, we see so many clients, business owners coming in the doors that tap the potential in that place of barely getting by. And very rapidly, with these processes in place, it is possible. So I just want to put that message of hope out there, that this is not pie in the sky. So we're going to put the link to Linda's survey in our show notes. And I really hope that every one of you listening will jump in there and fill it out and help us to understand more about what is keeping business owners from investing and really setting themselves up for a very secure, financially free future.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? I just love that idea. And it is not pie in the sky. It's so possible. You just need to do it. And you don't have to be an aggressive investor. That's the other side. Maybe you're just a CD person. That's okay.
Wow.
You need to just keep doing it. It will take more money. It'll take more time, but you can still do it. You'll get there. You can eliminate debt. There's all those things that make life so much more possible. There's always a way.
Well, and I want to speak to this a little bit and share about my history. So my father was a banker, and he was a small town bank, and the bank kept getting bought out by one bigger corporation after another. And every time there was a buyout, there was pressure, like, was he going to get laid off? Was his job insecure? And it finally happened where he was forced into early retirement when I was going off to graduate school. I had just finished college and I had signed up. I had agreed to go to UT in Austin, and then he's forced into early retirement. I don't remember exactly how old he was, but I want to say he was in his 50s. They have never worked since then. And that was because they had done things like Linda's talking about here, where they were able to make it work. And they supported me a lot in graduate school, even as he was forced into early retirement. So, that it really was a powerful lesson to me at that time, that these small steps that we take on a regular basis, monthly basis, building a future financially, have a powerful compounding effect over time. And I was so fortunate because when I was in college, I took one course in personal finance, and I learned, the only thing I remember from that course, dollar cost averaging. Talk a little bit about the power of that.
That's a good lesson, because when you go through life and you consistently invest, when the stock market's high, you buy less shares. And when the stock market's low, you buy more shares. So you automatically lower your average cost by being consistently there. And you're not making an emotional choice. You're not thinking, when should I? You just are doing it.
Right. And so it takes the emotion out. And that's the big thing when it comes to investing. Psychologically, we're very much at risk because we get emotional and we make decisions. So when you're looking at building your financial future, having a plan
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to stick to and you're not going to make emotional decisions. So working with someone like Linda, who's going to help you create that plan, who's also there to remind you, hey, don't do that one thing that you're thinking of doing right now because that's an emotional decision that deviates from our plan.
Right.
That's pretty powerful as well.
Yeah. I do a lot of hand holding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And I don't have a degree, but I do counseling.
I would imagine that comes up.
There's a lot of counseling from both the tax side and the investment side because taxes scare people also.
So one of the things that I hear from not every business owner, but a lot of them will say, my business is my retirement.
That may be true, but it may also not be true. And I have an actual story. I had a client with a sign company, and that was their plan. They did a little bit of investing, but not a lot. And in their mind, when they sold their business that their business was running in, the location, because they own the location too, and they sold the business that was in it, they would have more than enough to make this work. Well, no one wanted their business. It was a two-man sign shop. It wasn't set up for anybody else to run. And it was actually, the sales were decreasing over time. So they weren't growing the business either. It was just not, they wanted to retire. So they weren't pushing it. They weren't doing the things they needed to do to grow it. So they never did find a seller, a person who would actually buy that business from them. They did sell the property. They did end up selling everything in Maryland and moving to a cheaper place to live. So they made it work, but it was not what they wanted. And they were very disappointed when they got to the end of that business cycle and went, oh, there's no buyers.
Right.
That sometimes happens.
Well, and so I also think the danger there is that we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. We're relying on the business to be the retirement plan. And so what if it doesn't sell? What if there's no buyer? We want to have other investments, other things that we have done to set up our financial future. You know, the other thing that I look at a lot in our clients in our Better Business, Better Life program is the threats that they are going to have to mitigate in their business. So if something were to happen to that business owner a month from now, what would be at risk? And inevitably, it's the business that's at risk. Their mainstream of income is at risk. And so a big part of the 4-week vacation for me was, this is a sexy way for me to talk to business owners about, you know, really, you need to get your business in order in case something happens to you, you know, which is not such a desirable topic to talk about. But
yeah,
we've had Steve Bousquet here as a guest on the Profit by Design podcast. And his first introduction to taking a 4-week vacation came, and he talked about this on the podcast. We'll link to the episode. But if I remember correctly, he had done some work with another business consultant, and they had done like disaster planning for the business, getting everything in order in case something would happen to Steve. Well, sure enough, he ended up needing surgery. And so he had to follow through with that plan. And that was his first experience with getting his business to run without him. And we've had breakthroughs on the Bayou Retreat participants who've taken our 4-week vacation pledge and then had a severe illness that they've had to deal with. So they didn't get to take their 4-week vacation, but they had put the business in, started putting the business in order. So they were able to take that time away and take care of themselves.
Right. Yeah, I've done some work with that too. I've had clients who had to go out and unplanned absences from their business, and they're punting at the last minute to try to figure out how to get everything to work. So I've gone through and created a checklist, and that also is something that your listeners can download. Just things to think about. You know, does your banker know your next person who's going to do things? Who can sign checks? Where are the checks kept? How are the sales processes running? How, you know, all of those things you need to document. And if they go through a program like yours, they start to do that. But if they haven't even thought about it, at least it gives them some ideas to think about so that they get some of those things done. Some is better than none.
Well, just as you throw out there, you know, who's going to sign the checks? Who's going to pay the bills if you're not there? A lot of clients will say, you know, I don't need to take a 4-week vacation. I can take my laptop with me. I just need to push payroll out. It's not a big deal. Well, if you're the one pushing payroll out,
Mm-hmm.
what happens if you get injured on vacation? Who's going to push payroll out at that point? Why not just take that extra step and take the time to think through these things? I travel a lot. I work away from home, so I have my business set up so I can just pick it up and go. And I've been doing that for the last 12 years. And so that gives me a lot of freedom to be able to do that. And building my business where I can take these 4-week or 6-week vacations, part of the intention was, I have aging parents. So at some point they're going to need me, and there's not going to be a 2-month lead up. It's going to be like, now you're needed now. And so when we get our businesses set up that we could leave at the drop of a hat for 4 weeks and everything would run, the peace of mind in that is tremendous.
It is, even for 2 days. Some people can't leave for 2 days.
Yeah.
Just to be able to be gone for a weekend and not have to deal with stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. You got to think about those things, to be thrown in the hospital and have no one available to run your payroll and have to worry about that as well as everything else.
Yeah. So
just make it easier.
I am really curious to hear from our profit designers. If you had the magic wand and you could be done, would it be 5 years that you want to be done, or what is the time frame that you would really like to be done? And what lifestyle do you want to be leading as you have that opportunity to be done with your businesses? So I want to just throw that out as a conversation topic that hopefully we can get going in the Profit by Design Facebook group. And I think, Linda, that could also be an opportunity for you to get some more insight into what's going on. So tell me some of the questions as we're wrapping up today. Tell me some of the questions on the survey that you're really curious to hear from our profit designers on.
Well, I kind of want to know what it is that you want to do when you spent any time thinking about what you're going to do when you retire? If you didn't go to work every day, what would you do? What would happen to your business if you didn't go to work every day? What do you think would happen to your business if you didn't go to work every day? Why are you putting it off? Is there something else kind of floating through the equation?
Mm-hmm. Wow, those are some thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, I just kind of want to know what's going on out there.
I'm looking at the survey now. How will your days be spent after leaving the business? Will you volunteer, take up art, travel? Who will you spend time with, and what will you be doing? Are you selling your home and moving out of state? So that's interesting, just to get the wheels turning.
Like you said, having those conversations opens it up. Having people ask you what you're going to do when you're not running your business has opened it up for you. Asking those questions and pushing it forward will open it up for other people. And if we don't ever think about it, we'll never get there.
Yeah.
We'll just keep pushing that ball down 5 years. I think that's as far as we can think. I think that's why we're all choosing 5 years. That feels like a long time.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I do when I start visioning is I think about my age in 5 years. So, okay, I'll be 53. And then I think about my children. My oldest daughter will be 18, going off to college. And then my youngest daughter will be 11. And so that starts giving me context. Oh, what will life be like at that point with an 18-year-old, an 11-year-old, and 53-year-old me? And, where do we want to be living? What do we want to be doing? That just puts some frame around the picture that makes it a little easier to fill in. The other thing that I find is really helpful to think about, what did we used to enjoy doing when we were kids that we have not done in a long time? What's it for you, Linda? I saw you smile immediately.
Yeah, I like going outside. We were on a call with Stephen Bousquet, and he was talking about what inspired you. And people were coming up with poems and other things and words. And I'm like, I think it's mountains and hills and being out in the woods and seeing the sunset and the sunrise and just being in nature. That is totally cool. And I've since gone and dragged the kids up to C&O Canal, and we've gone walking, and they want to do that every week, which is awesome. So we have kind of a semi-regular plan of taking the grandkids and going up and doing some hiking on a regular basis. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So another great question is, what inspires you? Because that also gets you connecting with the things that you might enjoy spending more time on. I know when I was a kid, I was always one who wanted to explore every trail and go off the beaten path everywhere. So when I think about If I had more time in my life, I'd be doing a lot more hiking. I might go to Ireland and hike across Ireland. And the other thing that I really enjoyed as a kid was riding my bicycle. And when I was 10, we went to Holland, and you can ride your bike everywhere in Holland. And I think I would love to go to Europe and have a bike tour in Europe. So, profit designers, what are the things that you used to love as a kid? What are the things that inspire you? Just let your creative juices start flowing. And when we get really clear on what we would be doing if we had the freedom to do it, all of a sudden the motivation is there. At the Breakthroughs on the Bayou Retreat, one of the favorite activities is creating vision boards. And when we create those vision boards, we put them up where we see them on a regular basis, and they become very compelling. And our mind starts to really focus on, here's what I want, here's where I'm headed. And we start to see opportunities to make those things happen. That's the other thing, is when we have a really clear vision, we will see opportunities that we might overlook otherwise, and we can take action on those opportunities to move closer to the vision. So, Linda, I want to just say, I think as people fill out your survey, it's going to be very inspiring for them. I love the way you've written the questions. It's a very short survey. I would imagine it would take somebody about 10 minutes. And again, we're going to link to it in the show notes. So please fill it out, profit designers. Linda and I want to know, what are you thinking? So Linda, talk about the next steps for you as you get the feedback from the survey. What are your thoughts that you might do?
As I get the feedback from the survey, I've got one question in there where, if you're open to it, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more maybe and use you as information for the book, because I'd like to put this in a format and create some steps that would get you there, that you can follow yourself.
So you're actually considering developing a program to support small business owners. Possibly it's being done in 5 years. We're not sure what's going to come out of the survey, but if that's it, that might be what the program is. So those of you filling this out may get to be a part of this, which is very exciting. Linda, I'm going to go in and fill it out myself. I want to be in your book.
It's a really interesting concept, and it's something that I don't think anybody else is focused on. Most of the time we focus on other things, but looking towards the future and kind of trying to figure out that, can you be done in 5 years? What would you do in 5 years? All of those inspiring thoughts, because you're right. If you don't have a goal in mind, you cannot create a map. We can't get there if we don't know where we're going. So we need to figure out where we want to go and then run headlong towards that goal.
Exactly. In a very focused way towards that goal. So Linda, as we go out today, I just want to say that my big takeaway from this is coming back to that big, powerful question of, what do I want? You're really making me think about, what do I want? What's important to me? And I imagine a lot of our profit designers are thinking in that direction. So I appreciate you coming here and sharing. This has been a very inspiring conversation.
Thank you. That's awesome. I've enjoyed having it.
Great. And profit designers, please fill out the survey for Linda. We'll link to it in the show notes. Thank you again, Linda. See you later.
Thanks.
If you're like most business owners, you have a cash-sucking business that's taking over your life. After the first year in our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential, you'll have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had. Get started. Take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. Share your thoughts on today's episode, ask us questions, and let us know what you want to hear about next. Visit our website at profitbydesignpodcast.com to access resources from our sponsors and tools we've created for you. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening to right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Go ahead and hit it so that you always get a notification when we release a new episode. And finally, share our podcast with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.